Today we're sound designing some crazy drum loops like this. And we're going through the whole process today so that you can make unlimited crazy perk loops like this and never run out of ideas. And for our comment of the day, we have Mike Dare, and he says, bro, I don't think you understand how amazing the envelope follower method is. You just found a workaround for the stock dynamic EQ. And if you guys don't know what the envelope follower is, it's a stock Ableton plugin, and it allows you to do dynamic stuff, just like dynamic EQing or dynamic sidechaining with volume and different things like this. We're gonna load up an Ableton drum rack, and this is gonna make it so easy for us to do. And what we're gonna do from here is we're gonna load up all of these sounds right here. So if I start playing, you're gonna see these start lighting up. We're gonna take some percussion sounds from our drum kits, but you can use any percussion sounds you like from any drum kits you may have. Throw some FX in there, and also don't be afraid to use drums from already existing drum loops or percussion loops. All right, guys, here we go. You can see I loaded this thing up quite a bit. I did like 5 rows or so. So now's the time to start making patterns, but I have a couple tips for you. First, make it simple. You don't need to add a million layers. Like add 3 to 10 layers at the most, and you'll be able to come up with some amazing stuff. Also, do not force it. Just allow it to happen naturally. Really, you should only be spending a couple minutes on this pattern. And also, make sure to make about 3 patterns so that we have a lot of stuff to work with. And also, you're gonna wanna set your BPM to 100, because the good thing about this is it's gonna work for stuff that's higher and lower, right? Now, when you're making your pattern, you could just click it in and find a pattern while you have your metronome going, or you can play something on your keyboard and just get a basic rhythm, and that's what we're gonna do here today. So I went ahead and put down this super basic pattern, and we're gonna build off of this. But first, let's take all of the velocities here. We're gonna put them all the way up so that we can keep them all the same. And what I like to do for this is select everything. Like if you click on this, I'll select all of these, and then I can either move them all up together or all down. So I might actually move all these up just a little bit more. Now we're going to start building out the rest of this, and a really good way to establish some bounce is layering sounds on top of each other. So maybe I put a sound right here, and I layer that every single time, like this. That can add some good bounce. Now, and maybe we put it right here instead. And maybe I'll start here, because I definitely want something to play on the first one. Yeah, let's go ahead and use this scratch there instead. So let's turn this down a little bit. And guys, get crazy with this. There is no right way to do this. Just have fun with it. Actually, let's throw this in right here. I'm going to put this shaker in here just to kind of keep a beat. Amazing. I'm just going to turn these down just a tiny bit more here. And we'll also turn this right here down a little bit. Before we move on to the processing, we got to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, right? We're going to do some panning, some basic stuff just to really tighten this up. But before that, I want to show you a couple other patterns that I made. And for the cleanup, the first thing is getting the velocities right. We kind of already did that as we were going, but if you need to change anything, now's a good time to do that. The next thing is adding swing or groove. In Ableton, all you have to do is click this little thing right here and your groove pools will open up. And if you don't have any by default, that's fine. You need to go into your grooves over here and you can pick some out. And they have just about everything. You have hip hop, Latin, jazz, all this stuff. So whatever you're making, if you're making something funky, jazzy, hip-hoppy, go ahead and drag those in. All you have to do is double click on it and it'll open it down here. And then you can always go in and tweak this a little bit more. And to use it, all you have to do is go into your MIDI clip And then you just got to select the groove right here and you can try them all out and get some cool results. Another thing you could do is use this velocity MIDI plugin right here. This is stock as well. And this can help you kind of randomize some of those velocities. The other thing you could do is just you could highlight everything in here and you could give it a velocity range right here. And it's going to randomize where it plays every single time. The next step is super important and that is your panning. But what you can do is listen back to this. You can find which one you want and then we can go ahead and change it to the right or the left a little bit. And what you can do is you can use Ableton's stock utility to do that super easily. We'll go ahead and drag the utility onto this channel right here. And then we can go ahead and play with the balance. And one thing that I like to do is pan most of the stuff to the left, and then we'll put like 1 or 2 elements a little bit to the right. Okay, here's another one that's playing, so let's go ahead and put the utility here as well. I think this might be a good thing to put to the right a little bit. Here's the shaker, so we can go ahead and put the utility on that. And then we can go ahead and balance it. And you might notice if you pan things to the right or left, it might make it sound a little bit louder in the mix. So this is a great time to play with the gain right here while we have it on our utility as well. This is also a great opportunity if you need to EQ anything, chop out the lows if things are sounding muddy or anything like that. Now, I don't think we need to in our case, but one thing I would like to do is turn on the faders right here. So for instance, on this shaker, I want to kind of shape it. I want it to play a little less long. So let's check this out. That might be a little too much. So let's pull the fade out a little bit back right here. In fact, let's go ahead and shape this scratch as well, just a little bit. Once you have things cleaned up and you're liking how it sounds, the next step is the manipulation. This video is sponsored by Audio Hacks, and they just released a crazy summer bundle that's filled with 4 drum kits, multiple sample collections, several masterclasses on mixing techniques and soft clipper hacks, and all of our top mixer racks. So if you want to upgrade your sound selection and really make the most of this summer, go ahead and click the link in the description below to learn more. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to add different plugins, distortion plugins, effect plugins. We're going to go ahead and chop and edit and move things around and rearrange it. I'm going to duplicate it and we always have a backup. Now what I'm going to do with our new one is freeze and flatten it. And then from here, every time I find a preset that I like, I'm going to save that as a new track and then find more presets. And we're going to do this a bunch of times until I'm sick of it, really. And that way, we'll have tons of different loops that we can make. The plugins you're going to see me using today are Rift. This one is extremely dope for distortion and going crazy, getting crazy modulations and stuff. Another great one is Trash 2 by iZotope, but I believe they discontinued that. So also Effect Rack, Shaper Box, Looperator, Portal, Effectrix, all of these are amazing for this stuff. Okay, I like that one already, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that layer. I really, really like this preset. And when you come across a preset that you really like, we can go ahead and keep this and we can stack another riff on top of it. So we'll go ahead and duplicate this riff now. That sounds crazy. And now let's put an iZotope Trash 2 on here and see if we can find any other cool presets that we like in here as well. This is a great time to use these sound design ones in here as well. Like, let's just click on this first one. We can definitely make that work. This is a great time to go ahead and freeze and flatten everything right here. So let's go ahead and do that. One amazing thing you can do with these, let's go ahead and solo one of these, is we can go in right here. We can go over to our envelopes and we can go ahead and modulate some different envelopes. We can go ahead and do our transposition. Otherwise, you could put different plugins on here and modulate different things from those, but the transposition can usually give you some cool result. How dope does that sound? We can play with these different warp modes on this one. So all of these warp modes do something different, right? This Beatz one allows you to play with the transients. This tones one allows you to play with the grain size. But right now, let's go to this one called Beatz. We'll go to transients. Let's go to this arrow right here. And we can play with this, and it's either going to tighten up or loosen up the sound. So let's check this out. So you can see it's making it more transient-y. Every little hit that's playing is shorter now. It's not playing out the full note. From here, you could always take a section and you can go ahead and multiply it or times it by 2. Let's check it out. And what you can do is click on a spot here, press Command E or Control E on Windows, and that's going to go ahead and chop it for you. So you can go ahead and chop wherever your cursor's at. I like this shaker right here. Let's see if we can add this into the beginning part too. Yeah, maybe we'll put it right here. We can bring this forward, or we can bring this one forward to help it fit in a little bit more. Let's also chop this little part, and we can put that after it right here. Let's check this out. That sounds pretty cool there. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and highlight that whole section, and then we can copy and paste it over. And then from there, now we have a bunch of chops. You could take the whole thing, so select the entire thing, and we're going to press Command J or Control J on Windows, and it's going to go ahead and consolidate that all into one for us. Let's also try out the different pitch. You could also go down to the texture, for instance, and play with the flux and the grain size. Let's play with this. And then from here, we could either keep chopping it up, doing this same process, playing with the different warp modes, going through all the automations and things like this, or we could go ahead and put some other plugins on it and see what we can come up with now. One cool thing we can do is press this ×2 right here, make it twice as long, and then there might be like certain spots that we really like. Like I like this part. So now I could go ahead and chop this part right here. We can pull it off to the side. That sounds pretty cool too right there. So let's go ahead and grab this chunk as well. We could also reverse it as well. So we could reverse this clip, and now it sounds like this. Go ahead and throw it in here. Maybe like this. And then what we can come do is we can come in here and we can drag this back a little bit. And let's see how this sounds. And this is starting to sound like a really dope loop that I actually like and I could see myself using. So we can move on to the next step. What we're going to do is add a compressor, a saturator, and a clipper. And feel free to use your favorite plugins for this. And you're not just limited to the 3 things that I said. You could put anything you want on this. This is your processing. For the compressor, I'm going to be using the CLA 76. And usually for compressors, you're going to want to do a longer attack and a shorter release. That's going to go ahead and maintain the transients in your drums. We don't need to do a ton of compression. Just a little bit really helps glue everything together. And really for the clipper, I'm going to bring it up to 0 dB and I may clip it just a small amount. So let's go ahead and push this. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and freeze and flatten it. Now what you can do is you can right click and you can go to Show in Finder, and this is going to go ahead and find the file for you. So from here you can copy and paste this into a folder that you like, change the name of it or do whatever you want. So now all your friends are going to be asking you how you made these crazy percussion loops, but if you want them to say that about your kicks, how the heck did he get his kicks to punch so well through the mix? You're going to want to watch this video next. We did a whole masterclass on perfecting and crafting your kicks perfectly in every single mix. I'll catch you guys again later. Peace.